Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. It's the final week of March, and that means it is time for me to do a March garden tour. We're going to start in the greenhouse because actually the greenhouse in my raised bed garden is the most actively growing plants on the property. And so I'm super excited that you're here today. But before we jump into the March garden tour, I'm going to ask everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue growing my channel and reaching more gardeners just like you. I think we're going to start this tour in the greenhouse, as I mentioned. But before we do, just a couple things. While it is a beautiful day, it is windy, and so I am hoping the wind won't be a problem, and it's really sunny, so I'm going to probably end up putting on my sunglasses. I'm not complaining. The wind and the sun is beautiful. It is, though, not super warm today. I think it's about 62 degrees right now, but I bet you when we get inside my greenhouse, it's going to be a lot warmer inside there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this camera around and take you on a walkabout. So let's head inside the greenhouse. There is a lot of things happening in here, and I could not be more excited about it. Those of you that follow my channel have seen me sharing my adventures in sowing lots of seeds and some of the other things that are happening in the greenhouse. So let's just start over here. In this box, I keep my culinary herbs, and it might look a little bit different because I just picked up at the nursery the other day some new plants. So I have put in here oregano, a beautiful tricolor sage, some lemon thyme, some plain sage, and over here just some regular English thyme. These are almost all considered perennials, meaning they will come back and back and back from year to year. I usually in the greenhouse get about 2 years out of my herbs that are perennials. Um, I don't know, is parsley a perennial? I don't know. I've had these since last summer. This one is looking really sad. I'm not sure. Oh, well, it's probably also extremely dry. So I think this video is going to be a wonderful opportunity for me to create a to-do list for myself, like I need to water this raised bed. All right, so let's hop up here with the camera on this top shelf. You're going to see my parsley and my leeks that I started from seed. They are loving life in the greenhouse. You're going to see this little tray. Let's see, I have to look at my tags. I have so many things growing. Oh, this is my feverfew snowball, some really teeny tiny seedlings, but they're going to be beautiful cut flowers. Back here, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to grow some nasturtiums from seed, and that tray isn't having the best germination rate, but sometimes they take forever. All right, let's next on the list. So half of this is with beautiful Carmine Gomphrena. This is going to be a beautiful cut flower. And the other side is, I believe, my lemon basil. Yes, Mrs. Burns lemon basil. They are doing great. Of course, if I come in here close, I'm going to have to separate out some of these. This one just has one. Somehow I got 4 seeds going in this cell. So I'll have to do some separation of those. And then actually everything else on this top shelf are my gorgeous Maverick Bullseye geraniums that I started from seed in the color, let's see, salmon, a beautiful pinky salmon. And I actually did a little experiment. So you can probably see, let me put it down here for you. There's one seedling and here's another. Okay, so let me tell you about my experiment. I potted up these 2 weeks before I potted up these, meaning they all started, of course, in these tiny seed cell trays. And then when I pulled them out of here to pot them up into these bigger containers, I decided to do 24 of them and then wait 2 weeks and do the other 24 and see what a massive difference potting up makes. All right, so I'm putting that down as lessons learned, and that would be The sooner I can pot up things, the faster they'll grow and the bigger they'll grow. So those are all of the things I started from seed on the upper shelf. So let's go down a level to my work table here, where I also have lots of seedlings started, and tell you what I've got here. Oh, I need to move my fertilizer. By the way, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but this is the type of fertilizer, this Neptune's Harvest Fish and Seaweed. This is a water-soluble fertilizer that I use to fertilize all of my plants that I start from seed. Once those plants get at least 1 or 2 sets of true leaves, every Friday, I will give the more mature plants a dose of fertilizer. So, all right, here we go. In this tray, I have a tray of ageratum in, let's see, the timeless variety. That's a beautiful flower. I'm also growing celosia, and this year I'm growing flamingo feather. Over here, I have a tray, 2 rows. I have a tray that has San Marzano tomatoes and German Johnson. The rest of this tray here, these are onions, more tomatoes, 6 other varieties that are started in this tray. I've got Cherokee Purple, Kellogg, Amish Paste, Sun Gold, Super Sweet 100s, and Harvest Moon. And I have pretty good germination rate, but like, I don't know what in the world has happened to these cells. That's wild to me. I can't figure that out. In this tray, I have some marigolds, Chica Flame. They're doing just fine. And some nasturtiums, Orchid Flame. And let me show you, actually, I have some growing that are considered Orchid Flame. If I move the foliage out of the way, aren't these pretty? So I have been growing Orchid Flames, these, since last summer. I popped them in this raised bed in the greenhouse, so they've been growing all winter long. Back here behind all of these trays, I've got coleus that I propagated. In fact, I just shared my last video that I uploaded is all about how to take your beautiful plants, take some snips or cuttings, and turn them into a bunch of new plants. All right, so let's head down here to this raised bed box. You already got to see my beautiful nasturtiums. And in fact, I am having a special dinner party this Saturday night. And you better believe that I will be picking these beautiful, see if you can see it better here, these gorgeous edible flowers, and they will be on some of the dishes that I'm going to serve. All right. This might look a little different because while I've got my coleus that's been in here since last summer, the really big coleus that I took cuttings off of, if you look in here, you're going to see, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 new coleus plants because I have a planter box and I wanted to go ahead and grab up these beautiful coleus, and I'm going to create a lovely, lovely planter box filled with all of these. If you're interested in the varieties, I've got wasabi, perfectly named since that's the color of wasabi. Kong Red, one of my favorites. This is also one of my favorites. This is called Main Street La Rambla. My Spanish is horrible. Sorry about that. And then the other really sweet one, this is a trailing variety of coleus, and it is called Great Falls Angel. Isn't that sweet? So these are for a project. Of course, coleus likes hot weather, and it is too soon to plant these outside in my Mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden. But because I have a heated greenhouse, they will love life in here until I get ready to plant them up in that really beautiful planter I'll show you later. And my goal is I'll be planting all this coleus in those planters probably the first week of May. All right, my beautiful Boston fern, it's going to start getting too hot in here for it to stay in here. Boston ferns don't like direct sun and they don't like it super hot. In fact, this one's getting a little crispy. So this is going to go back on my covered porch that is pretty much shaded the whole day. I'll probably take that out in 2 or 3 weeks. My beloved geraniums that I keep in the greenhouse year round, you have seen those. I've got some things that need to go into my compost heap. And then I've got this lovely planter. Look at all those striking white geraniums with ivy, a couple of ivy plants. And again, all of these came from my garden last summer and they've been loving life inside the greenhouse. More of my geraniums and my croton up there. I got these crotons actually, what was it, for Thanksgiving last November and used them for decor outside with pumpkins and gourds. And then I brought them in for the winter in the greenhouse. And yeah, that's about it for inside the greenhouse. But these trays represent, even though some of them have more than one plant in each cell, but let's just say just cells alone and cups, I've got about 240 plants growing in the greenhouse for summer. All right, it's time for my sunglasses because there is not a cloud in the sky. And woo, the sun is beautifully bright. So let's head to the other part of the property that has the most things happening. And that would be, of course, my raised bed garden. I've been posting a lot of videos of me starting wonderful seeds in the raised bed garden. So I'm gonna get this open, the doorway, turn the camera around, and let's see what is happening in the garden. So let's step inside here and do a little tour. There's Mr. Jerome the garden gnome. Isn't he adorable? He decided he needed to come out and sprinkle some beautiful gnome magic in my garden. In this bed, all of these plants that you see on the edges are garlic. Oh my goodness, I've had my gardening friends tell me for years, Belinda, as much as you cook, you need to grow your own garlic. And this is my 3rd year trying to grow garlic and it is amazing. In fact, here we are the last week of March. I harvested my garlic last year, the very first week of July, and I am still using garlic from last year's harvest in my cooking. Oh, what an easy crop to grow. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. I planted these last October. They will not be harvested or dug up until probably again the very end of June, early July. Worth the wait. Also, you might notice, here's some hyacinth. Let me get in here close so you can see that beautiful purple blue beauty. And here's some more. I actually messed up. I thought I had taken those out and placed them in some different spots in the garden out here in the landscape. And I guess I didn't dig them all up. In fact, I see a few tulips trying to pop their way up. Just the other day, I planted 24 seascape strawberry plants in here. I purchased the bare root variety and they're all nestled in. They've been watered. They have some wonderful good compost. So this year I'm planning primarily to use my vertical garden for strawberries. The top tier, I haven't planted anything in yet, and I'm going to reserve that for some pretty flowers. A very important addition to our raised bed garden are these 4 birdies beds. They are 29 inches tall, and I could not be happier with how they turned out. My husband was amazing in putting them together and getting them in here and getting them level and filling them up. I have a whole video on renovating these 4 beds. I'll make sure I put that in the link below too for anyone that's interested in how to use these, why we purchased them, and how easy it is to put them together and get them in your own garden. So, all right, so this one is empty at the moment, but let's take a look at my 2 long narrow beds. And these are sugar snap peas that I started from seed. Again, posted a video about pansies and peas that I planted out a couple weeks ago. And you can see there is drip tape, drip tubing all the way down. And on this side, you'll see my chives. And I don't know if you knew or not, but chives are a wonderful perennial herb. And they are delicious and yummy, and they love their spot. Of course, this raised bed is empty at the moment, but we've got the drip ready when we're going to plant up into this bed. And my husband this year did a really great thing, and that is each one of these birdies beds has its own on-off valve, so I don't have to run drip when it's empty, or certain things like dahlias. There are certain times when you first plant them, they don't want really wet feet for a while until they break through the surface. So that's a really good idea to have the valves that you can control each of your beds individually. So that one's empty, but let's look at this bed. So this is where I planted my carrots. I planted 2 varieties, and you can see right now there's frost cloth over those carrot seeds, because carrot seeds really need to stay moist to germinate, and sometimes they take a long time to germinate. So I like to use the frost cloth method, and I have not looked under this frost cloth to see if I have any carrot seedlings, but I have a feeling I should by now. So I'm going to try to hold the camera with one hand, and oh my gosh, we've got some landscaping staples that we put in because we had super high winds. So let's undo the landscaping staples, get those off of there so I can lift this up, and let's take a look and see what we can find out in terms of germination of my 2 different carrot varieties. Let's take a look at what it's going to reveal. Pull this off. Sorry about the camera. Okay, excellent, excellent. So in this front row, can you see? Whoop, here comes the wind. You pull this back. So all of these represent carrots, potential carrots. And then I have another row of them. They look like the germination wasn't quite as great, but I sowed a lot of different seeds. And so I'm going to let them grow up, and then I will thin them. I am so pleased to tell everybody that my spinach is doing great. I just broadcast the seeds around in here. I don't know why I've had so much difficulty in the past getting spinach to grow, but I'm having better luck this year. And then down here I have butterhead lettuce. I sowed those in 2 rows, as you can see, and I will be thinning those out because I want those to form some heads. And then right down the center is my gorgeous 5-color rainbow chard that I decided to put right in the middle of the bed, and I had really great germination. We'll swing around to this side, and this is where I have escarole, and you know, fair germination. I've got some through here. Let me get my shadow out of the way, and I don't know, okay germination, not the best. That seed was a tiny bit old, so I'm wondering if that was the problem. But boy, my Rocky Top lettuce blend, this is a leaf lettuce, it did just fine. And again, I broadcast, which means I just scuffed up the soil and spread a bunch of seed willy-nilly. Because it's loose leaf, it doesn't need to be in nice tidy rows. I just cut it and it comes again, and so I'm really happy about how that is looking. Okay, well, spring is here. My spring crops are doing what they need to do. And so now there is not a lot else to show you because, again, I'm a zone 6 and here we are the last week of March. But I am going to go ahead and grab keep the camera with me and we'll go up and do a walk around the house and finish up our March tour. And of course, last thing I want to show you, we're not going to go up into my 2-acre pollinator habitat, but if you followed me for any length of time, you know that my husband and I planted, this will be its 4th summer. This whole area, actually, you can't see it. It's quite large. It goes up and over the hill all the way down to this point. It's a 2-acre pollinator habitat, a monarch habitat. And of course, it's not looking so great right now, and it doesn't, and it shouldn't, because all those native plants aren't really ready to do anything yet. But I guarantee you, I'll bring you back, and when, end of April, first part of May comes, this will be a sea of yellows and golds and some pinks and light purples. It is magnificent in May when all of the different varieties of coreopsis are blooming and fleabane and on and on. So right now it's having its rest, storing up its energy for another great season for the monarchs and all of our pollinators. All right, as we approach the front of the house, you might notice some trees behind me. Those are the dreaded Callery pear trees that are highly invasive in most places in the country. We inherited these trees from the former owners, and we know they're invasive, and so we have a big project to do, and we've decided, we didn't get to it last winter because we had so many things on the agenda, but we are going to remove these trees, and that's the right thing to do for sure, because many of you know how invasive they are. The birds carry the seed and they drop the seed, and many places in the country, roadsides, countrysides are just littered with pear trees that choke out other native species. So we are going to get rid of them, but that's going to have to wait until winter, till all the leaves have fallen, and that is no easy task. I mean, I don't know if I can get it in the, I'll tip it up. Do you see? They're huge. They are quite mature. And so when you see online, cut down your pear trees and we'll give you a replacement tree. Well, when they're this big, that is a tremendous, tremendous project to take these trees out. It is not easy. It's going to take a lot of manpower and woman power. And then you have to have a place to dispose of the trees. And so it is not an easy task, but it's one that I think is absolutely, as a master gardener, I just feel like I have to do it. It makes sense. I believe in how invasive they are and don't want to contribute to that problem. So my husband and I were talking about it again a couple of days ago, and they're going to come out. They just have to, but we will not tackle that project until winter. All right, here is our quick tour around the house to see what is happening. This is my beautiful Gertrude Jekyll climbing rose that will get all the way up to the roof. And take a look, I've already pruned her for the year. And she has lots and lots of buds and stems coming out. So she is a stunner. As we walk down here, of course, I've got some pretty boxwoods and another Gertrude Jekyll in my obelisk. And quite interesting, if you pay close attention, let's look at her. And while she does, you see the red blooms and stems that are trying to grow, she has, let's see, how do I say this? A lot fewer than that Gertrude Jekyll down there, because Miss Jekyll down here gets loads more sun than this one. So this time of year, This is more shaded than the other one, and so of course the other one puts on growth faster, but it's been my experience since we've had Gertrude, I think, what, 3 or 4 years now at least. She will catch up with the other one as the sun changes in the sky with summer coming on. So it'll be fine, but she's a slow starter because she doesn't get as much sun. Here is my traditional Jack Manny clematis. And again, I cut this one. This is the kind you cut way back to the ground. I pruned it way back and gave it some beautiful fertilizer, and it will grow up here and cover that entire trellis this summer. I've got some spirea. I can't remember the variety. And as we come here at the very front of the house, just some more evergreen shrubs. Oh, I have to show you real quick. This is adorable. My sweet cousin, Diana, gifted me with this Easter decoration. I would call it a wreath, but it's really not a round one. But isn't that so sweet? It's supposed to look like a carrot, and that orange and blue against our blue door. Lovely. Don't have anything in these planters, and I'm probably not going to. The only thing I would plant for spring in there would probably be some tulips or some pansies or violas. And quite honestly, this is so shaded that the times I have tried to do that, they need lots more sun, and it's just not worth it. So I'll be planting those up. I've got a whole list of plants coming from Proven Winners Direct. I've already got plants for those planters later in the year. Here we have an oh so easy Italian ice, a little small shrub rose, and I've already done its pruning for the year. It's got lots of new growth, and I've given it a rose fertilizer. Oh, but this really is the only thing I can show you. This Leonard Messel magnolia tree. It is the wow right now. It is loving life. It started blooming a couple of weeks ago. I can see pollinators all over it. I don't know if you all can, but she is just so, so pretty right here on the corner of the house. My arborvitaes are doing just fine. They were just planted last year. My son put those in for me, and I'm still holding the spot right here for the Belinda Rose. That's my name, and I saw the Belinda Rose down actually in Waco at the Magnolia complex. I don't know what it's called, but Chip and Joanna Gaines of Magnolia Construction. And anyways, she has a beautiful garden with loads and loads of flowers, and they had a Belinda Rose that was gorgeous. As we work our way down this side of the house, you're going to see I've got my drip irrigation. We don't have it turned on yet, but there's my timer for a couple of different zones. And then here is my yucca. I planted this for the first time last year. I thought these were actually grasses because I didn't read the tag, and they're yucca plants. The good news is they're not even on drip because yucca likes dry and hot. And what I do like to see, and I'll try to get the camera in here, is finally this year, I've noticed this spring, they're putting on some color. That beautiful color. I hope you guys can see that. Let me stand back and maybe just try to zoom in. Hello. There we go. So anyways, they'll eventually fill in this little section of the flower bed. And this long bed looks absolutely sad and pathetic, but it will not look sad and pathetic in about a month because my gorgeous Baptisia that I started growing for the first time last year, I have purple and yellow. I have 5 plants here, and they are definitely pushing up some new growth. If I get in here real close, you can see that little green right here. That is new growth. They like to come all the way down, so they're really easy to prune in the early spring. I mean, they're old canes or stems just snap right off. So I've removed all of those already. And then as we move down here a little further, this is where we're going to get into my peonies. And gosh, I got to get the camera shadow out of there. So I have 4 peonies. I have a complete love-hate relationship with this plant. And the reason why I'm not crazy about peonies is they give color for about 2 weeks and then they're done. And then after that, the foliage is awful and it gets powdery mildew. Even though I do everything they say you're supposed to do, it is just the nature of the beast. And I hate the way the foliage looks the rest of the year. But you can see loads of new growth, those kind of wine colored shoots coming up out of the ground. That's the peony plant. And maybe because I'm not fond of peonies, these peony hoops that keep them upright and from flopping, yeah, they've been sitting here for probably 4 days now. I need to get these in before they get very tall, to protect them, because their stems bend a lot because the beautiful flowers they produce are super heavy. This is a, oh gosh, Miss Molly butterfly bush right there. I will be cutting that way back, but not yet. You don't want to cut your butterfly bushes back until you see a lot of new growth at the very base, and it is not time for that. I've got some Perovskia or Russian sage. Again, that's late to start, so they're just hanging out in their spot. So nothing to show you here except to say this is loaded with hostas. This is the north side of this retaining wall, so that's the south. So it gets a fair amount of shade, but I have plans. I have plans to get some hardy hibiscus from Proven Winners. They get 4 to 5 feet tall and 4 foot wide and have massive, massive dinner plate size flowers. So I've got a space cleared for one right there. Well, if you follow my channel, you know this is the problem child. This is, of all the places on my property that I'm trying to grow pretty things, this 14 by 7 foot wide flower bed is so soggy and wet. It's just very difficult to grow anything in it. So my plan is, rather than work against it, I am going to try my very best to plant perennials and annuals that are okay with part shade, because this is east facing. This bed gets about 6 hours of sunlight a day, 5 to 6. And I'm going to plant things in here like Monarda, Siberian iris, things that can handle some moist conditions. We're going to rejig all of the drip to really eliminate a lot of it so we're not overwatering this section. But what is in here, and I think it's doing fine, is a new addition. Last year we purchased and planted 3 Limelight Prime hydrangeas. And they've definitely come back. And if I get in here really close, you can see some growth on those branches. I need to pull the leaves out from the center. That's hard to do. I've done it once, and here they are again, collecting around the bottom. Over here, I have big plans as well. So I left an open spot for this summer, and I'm going to plant another hardy hibiscus perennial shrub that's going to fill in this space and cover up that ugly concrete wall. So I'm super excited about trying hardy hibiscus because everyone raves about it. Here's another Miss Molly butterfly bush. Don't need to mention that. Don't cut those back until you see a lot of green growth at the base, and they take a while to get going. And this is the last stop on our tour today. You're going to notice more hydrangeas, and these sweet, smaller 3 by 3 foot hydrangeas are the beautiful Limelight Punch. They are wonderful and they like it here. I'll be, of course, planting all kinds of flowers and coleus and all kinds of other things that I'm growing from seed, but also the plants I told you I had ordered from Proven Winners Direct. They will be arriving the third week of April, and they're going to be bringing a lot of instant color, not only to my flower beds, my perennial beds, but also to my planters. Last but not least, here's Mr. Mikawa, our Mikawa Yatsubushi Japanese maple, and this is on the smaller side. It will, at its peak, get 8 feet tall and about 5 feet, 6 feet wide. But it's a very slow grower, but it seems to have made it through winter fine. What I also want to point out is it is surrounded by Brunnera, which loves the shade, and we're on the north side of the house, so that's good. So I've got Brunnera here, and behind it are some big, beautiful hostas who haven't made their entrance yet into the gardening season. Well, that's going to do it for our Fast and Furious March garden tour. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today to see what is blooming in my Mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden. So much potential, so much excitement for, gosh, a month from now. Wow. I mean, it's just incredible, right? What a difference 4 weeks of growing will make. So I am just super excited about this new gardening season, as I'm sure you all are as well. So until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.